Have you ever felt like everything in your life was falling apart at once? Like the very ground beneath your feet was shifting, and no matter what you did, nothing seemed to go right.
It's as if some unseen force was pushing you, stretching you, testing you, but never explaining why. Here's the truth that most people miss. The universe is testing you. Quietly, intentionally, and always with a purpose. But it doesn't look like a test. It doesn't come with a warning label or a loud alarm. It often comes wrapped in stillness, in small frustrations, in repeated patterns that make you question your own sanity. Sometimes the biggest tests aren't disasters or tragedies. They're delays, closed doors, moments of silence when you're desperate for answers. This video will reveal the hidden ways the universe tests you, how to recognize these moments, and, more importantly, how to pass the test. Because when you do recognize it, something powerful happens. You shift from victim to student, from confusion to clarity. So if you've been feeling stuck, lost, or like life keeps putting you in the same difficult situations over and over again, this is your sign to pay attention. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to uncover how these silent spiritual tests hold the key to your transformation. Ready to find out what the universe has really been trying to tell you? Before the universe shouts, it whispers. It starts with gentle nudges, a strange feeling, a gut instinct, an uncomfortable emotion that seems out of place. Most people brush it off, blaming stress, fatigue, or bad luck. But this is the first test. Will you pay attention to the whisper? Think about it. How many times did something feel off before it actually went wrong? That job you took but never fully aligned with. The relationship that looked perfect on paper but slowly drained your spirit. The opportunity you chased that didn't feel right but you said yes anyway. The universe often tests us not with chaos, but with subtle misalignment. If we ignore the whispers, the messages get louder. The discomfort becomes pain. The delay turns into a block. The coincidences become patterns that we can no longer ignore. Spiritual traditions, from Buddhism to indigenous wisdom, teach that the soul speaks in stillness. And so does the universe. It doesn't need to scream to teach. It only needs to create space for you to notice. But in a world that thrives on noise and distraction, these silent signals go unnoticed. That's part of the test. Will you slow down enough to hear them? Here's the truth. When the universe tests you, it's not interested in your speed. It's interested in your presence. So the next time you feel a quiet unease, a tension you can't explain, or an inner tug pulling you away from something that seems right, don't ignore it. That's not anxiety. That's a test. The more spiritually awake you are, the quieter the lessons become. And if this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like. It helps spread these messages to others who might need them too. Have you ever found yourself stuck in the same kind of relationship, job, or emotional cycle over and over again? Different faces, different settings, but the same pain, the same lesson. This isn't coincidence, it's curriculum. The universe repeats what you haven't yet recognized, and it will continue to repeat it, not to punish you, but to refine. This is one of the most overlooked spiritual tests. Can you recognize the pattern before it breaks you? Most people blame the world. Why does this always happen to me? But the truth is more empowering, because you haven't passed the test yet. In Buddhism, there's a powerful concept, samsara, the endless cycle of suffering and rebirth. It isn't just about literal reincarnation. It's about mental loops, emotional habits, unseen karmic threads. The moment you truly learn the lesson, the cycle ends. Just like that. One woman keeps attracting emotionally unavailable partners. Another keeps working for bosses who disrespect her. A man keeps sabotaging every opportunity just as success begins to bloom. Different symptoms, same root. The test isn't about endurance. It's about awareness. Ask yourself, what keeps showing up in my life again and again wearing a different face? When you name it, you reclaim your power. Repetition is how the universe teaches the unteachable, not with books, but with mirrors. And if that resonates, let me know in the comments. What's one pattern you now realize might be a spiritual test? Waiting can be excruciating, whether it's waiting for clarity, a breakthrough, a partner, or simply peace. Silence from the universe feels like abandonment. But what if the delay is the test? We're conditioned to see waiting as wasted time. In reality, it's where the most profound growth happens. Not in action, but in stillness. The universe often pauses our progress not to punish us, but to prepare us, to develop the inner strength, clarity, or alignment needed for what comes next. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every day to check if it's growing. That's what we do when we doubt the divine timing of our lives. The seed doesn't grow faster because you're impatient. It grows because the soil is ready. Sometimes the silence is sacred. Buddhist monks speak of noble silence, the kind of quiet that teaches, heals, and reveals. During spiritual retreats, they embrace days or weeks without speaking, because they understand wisdom doesn't always shout. Often it waits for us to become still enough to hear it. If you're in a season of waiting, ask yourself, what is this moment trying to build in me? Maybe it's patience, maybe it's self-trust, maybe it's the strength to let go of what you thought you needed. Silence isn't absence, it's the space where truth is born. If you're currently in a waiting season, give this video a like. You're not alone, and you're not forgotten. Right. Before a major shift in your life, everything often falls apart. Your plans collapse. Your relationships shift. Your confidence wavers. It feels like the end. But spiritually, it's the beginning. This is one of the most powerful and painful tests the universe gives. The test of the breakdown. Why? Because real transformation doesn't happen when things are comfortable. It happens when the old you no longer works, and the new you hasn't yet arrived. Think of the caterpillar. Its final stage before becoming a butterfly is complete disintegration. Inside the cocoon, it doesn't grow wings slowly. It literally dissolves. That dark, lonely period, that's the test. Can you surrender to the chaos, not as punishment, but as sacred preparation? We tend to resist breakdowns because they strip away our identities, our roles, our stories. But what if that's the point? In Buddhist thought, there's a beautiful phrase, impermanence is liberation. What falls apart, make space for what is meant to rise. You're not being destroyed, you're being deconstructed, so that something truer, lighter, more aligned can take your place. Here's the key. Don't try to fix everything in the middle of the storm. Let it rage, let it clear, let it clean what needs to be released. The universe isn't asking you to control the chaos, it's asking you to trust it. The test isn't surviving the storm, it's learning to stop resisting the rain. If you've ever emerged stronger after losing everything, even if you didn't understand it at the time, drop a comment. Someone else might need to hear your story. One of the most painful spiritual tests comes wrapped in loss. People leave. Relationships end. Someone you thought would be with you forever slowly drifts away or vanishes without explanation. It hurts. It confuses. It feels personal. But here's the deeper truth. Souls meet for reasons, for seasons, for lessons. And when that soul contract is fulfilled, even if you're not emotionally ready, the universe begins to create space. This is the test. Can you release someone with love, even when it still hurts? Too often we cling to what's familiar, thinking it's a sign of loyalty or love. But clinging isn't love. It's fear disguised as devotion. In Buddhist teachings, there's a concept called non-attachment. It doesn't mean you don't love deeply. It means you don't try to possess what's not yours to hold forever. Everyone is a teacher. Some teach joy, some teach pain, some teach boundaries. Others teach letting go. When someone exits your life, instead of asking, why did they leave me? Try asking, what did they teach me? That shift in perspective turns heartbreak into healing, because sometimes the real spiritual test is not getting someone back, but learning to bless them as they go. The universe removes what you won't release, not to punish, but to protect. If this resonates with something you're going through, Leave a heart emoji in the comments. You never know who it might comfort. There's a moment, quiet, personal, and deeply uncomfortable, when you realize you've been betraying yourself, not in some grand, dramatic way, but in the little things, saying yes when your whole body screamed no, staying silent when your truth was begging to be spoken, shrinking yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. This is one of the universe's most intimate tests. Will you choose yourself when it costs you something? It's easy to honor your truth when everyone agrees with you, but what about when it risks disapproval, rejection, loneliness? The universe tests your integrity not when it's easy, but when it's inconvenient. Buddhism teaches the value of right action, making choices that are in harmony with your deepest values, even when they're uncomfortable. Self-betrayal isn't always obvious. It hides behind being nice, being reasonable, being the bigger person. But underneath, there's a quiet erosion of self. Every time you choose someone else's comfort over your own truth, the universe takes note. And then, life begins to feel misaligned. You feel heavy. You lose your spark. This isn't depression. It's disconnection from self. The test here is subtle. Can you hear your inner voice? And will you follow it, even when it's inconvenient? Every small act of self-honoring plants a seed of spiritual freedom. If you're learning to stop abandoning yourself, even in the tiniest ways, drop a in the comments. Let's normalize choosing truth over comfort. Nothing challenges our spirit quite like being wronged, betrayal, cruelty, unfairness. We're wired to react, to defend, to strike back, to make it right. But sometimes, the universe hands us a painful question. Can you stay compassionate, even when it would be easier to harden your heart? This is not about being passive or allowing abuse. It's about rising above the need to become like the thing that hurt you. One of the deepest tests of spiritual maturity is this. Can you feel pain and still choose love? In Buddhism, there's the concept of karuna, deep, active compassion, born from understanding that everyone is carrying invisible wounds, even the ones who hurt you. The test is not just whether you can forgive, it's whether you can keep your heart open when you have every reason to close it. That doesn't mean allowing toxic people into your life. It means not letting them turn you toxic. Think of people like Nelson Mandela, who forgave those who imprisoned him, or Thich Nhat Hanh, who taught peace during war. These are not weak people. They are spiritually strong because they passed the hardest test of all, not becoming bitter in a bitter world. Every time you choose compassion over cruelty, you signal to the universe that you're ready for a higher path. Your response to injustice reveals more about your soul than the injustice itself. If you've ever responded to pain with peace, even when it was hard, let someone know in the comments. You might inspire someone struggling with resentment. What do you do when you've tried everything and nothing changes? You've meditated, you've prayed, you've visualized, journaled, affirmed, healed, forgiven, and yet the problem remains. It's here, in this moment of utter exhaustion, that the universe reveals one of its most mysterious tests. Can you surrender without giving up? At first, this sounds contradictory. Surrender feels like defeat. But in spiritual truth, it's a higher form of trust. Surrender doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop controlling. You release your attachment to how things must unfold, and you start trusting that something greater is at play. It's the test of letting go, not out of despair, but out of wisdom. In Buddhism, surrender is aligned with the concept of letting go of craving. Desire, when rigid and desperate, leads to suffering. But when released, it creates space for grace. Sometimes, the very energy of forcing things is what blocks them. The moment you stop clenching, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is often the moment everything starts to shift. Surrender is not passive. It's an active decision to trust the unknown. The paradox? The universe often waits until we surrender to finally deliver what we've been asking for. Because now, we're ready to receive, not from fear, but from faith. What you stop chasing often finds its way to you, in unexpected, more beautiful. For as if you're learning the sacred art of surrender, or if you're in that hard space right now, share a thought to in the comments. You're not letting go, you're rising above. There's a moment when every seeker must face a deeper question, one that echoes beneath every goal, every desire, every prayer. Who are you when the thing you want doesn't arrive? This is perhaps the most revealing test of all, because so much of our spiritual path becomes subtly transactional. We meditate to feel peace, we visualize to manifest, we serve to be blessed. But what happens when none of it produces the result we hoped for? Do we still believe? Do we still love? Do we still trust? Or were we only ever in this for what we could get? The universe sometimes withholds not to deprive you, but to refine your why, to invite you to discover a deeper motivation, one that isn't based on outcomes, but on essence. In Buddhism, there's a practice of meditating without seeking enlightenment. That sounds paradoxical, but it's deeply profound. You do the practice for its own sake, because it brings you closer to your truth, not because it guarantees a reward. This is the final test. Can you walk the path, even if there's no promise of a finish line? When you reach this level, something sacred happens. You stop needing life to bend to your will, and you start seeing everything, every joy, every pain, every delay, as part of the dance. That's not giving up, that's waking up. When your joy is no longer dependent on the outcome, you become truly free. If this part of the message landed with you, let it echo in the comments. I walk the path for the love of the path. 7 ways to recognize and respond to the universe's silent tests. Start a whisper journal. Each evening, take 5 minutes to write down anything that felt slightly off, uncomfortable, or oddly repetitive. These subtle feelings are often the universe's earliest whispers. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns, and what once felt random will start making spiritual sense. Use the 3x pattern rule. If the same situation shows up 3 times, whether it's a type of conflict, delay, or emotion, pause. Ask, what is this trying to show me about myself? Don't just analyze it mentally. Feel into it. Let your intuition speak. Practice the pause before reacting. The moment you feel triggered by a person, situation, or comment, take 3 deep breaths. Then ask, is this a test of my old self or an invitation to respond from my higher self? That space between reaction and response is where transformation begins. Bless what leaves, even through tears. When someone exits your life, whether gently or painfully, take a moment to thank them in silence. Thank you for the lesson. I release you with love. Even if it's hard, this act shifts your energy from clinging to completion. Try the surrender prayer. Each morning before starting your day, sit for 60 seconds and speak or think these words. I surrender my plans, my fears, and my outcomes. Lead me where I need to grow. This simple prayer opens you to divine timing and flow rather than rigid control. Create a resilience reminder. Write yourself a note and keep it where you'll see it often. Something like, this is a test, not the end. Or, even this is part of my awakening. On hard days, this gentle nudge can help you remember that pain has purpose. Meditate without asking for anything. Set aside 1 meditation per week where you ask for nothing. Just sit, breathe, observe. Offer your stillness as a gift, not a request. This form of non-attached presence sharpens your spiritual hearing and deepens your trust in the unseen. After this video, write a letter to the universe as if it were your teacher. Ask, what are you trying to show me right now? Then, journal the answer as if the universe is speaking back. You may be surprised at what comes through. So many of us go through life believing we're being punished when things fall apart. We wonder what we did wrong. why things aren't working, why the silence feels so loud. But the truth, whispered again and again through every delay, every closed door, every heartbreak, is this: you were never being punished. You were being prepared. Prepared to become more present, more conscious, more compassionate, more you. The universe doesn't test you to break you. It tests you to show you what you're capable of, to strip away everything that isn't aligned with your true self. And yes, the tests are often quiet, subtle, repetitive, but they're also sacred. If you've made it to the end of this video, maybe it's because deep down, you've always known that your life wasn't random, that even your pain had purpose. So here's your reminder. The next time life gets hard, before you spiral into frustration, stop and ask, what if this is a test? What if I'm being shaped for something greater? That question alone can shift your energy from victim to student, from confusion to clarity, from fear to faith. You are not behind. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are in training. And if this message spoke to your soul, here's how you can carry it forward. Like this video, not just for the algorithm, but as a quiet yes to your own growth. Subscribe for more spiritual wisdom, because this path is easier when we walk it together. And if you want to go deeper, watch our next video. Until then, remember, every test is a message. Every moment is a lesson. And you are right where you need to be.